Hello, hi, welcome once again to M5's new English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV screen to help you learn English. Well, let's get started. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Well, it's our 45th lesson together today. 45! Incredible! Today, in lesson 45, we're going to look at what we learned this week. Are you ready? Yes? Great. Then let's get stuck in. Now, in this week's first lesson, lesson 41, what did we learn? Do you remember? In lesson 41, we met some more members of the Benchfield family. Do you remember? We met Alfredo Benchfield's mother and father, his mum and dad. We learned Alfredo's parents' names. We now know that Alfredo's mum is called Holly and Alfredo's dad is called Jeffrey. We know that Holly and Jeffrey share the same surname, Benchfield. When Holly was single, her surname was Sutherland, but when she got married to Jeffrey, her name changed from Sutherland to Benchfield. When she got married, she replaced her maiden name with her husband's surname. We used the present simple and the present continuous to describe Jeffrey and Holly. Do you remember how we used the different tenses? That's right. We use the present simple tense when we're talking about things which are always true or things which don't change. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. My name is Gav. I'm a man. So, we use the present simple tense to describe things about Jeffrey and Holly which don't change. Jeffrey is bald, for example, and his eyes are blue. We said that Holly's hair is grey. So we use the present simple tense with things that don't change, things that stay the same. And what about the present continuous tense? When do we use the present continuous tense? Correct-a-doodle-doo. We use the present continuous tense to talk about things that are happening now. So we also use the present continuous tense when we're talking about what someone is wearing now. When we describe what Jeffrey and Holly are wearing, we use the present continuous. Jeffrey's wearing a shirt and tie. Holly's wearing a pink dress. We also learned a new word for someone like Kojak and Jeffrey who hasn't got any hair. If someone hasn't got any hair, we say that they are bald. We learned that if a man has hair on his face, we call it facial hair. Normally, facial hair is a moustache or a beard, or maybe a moustache and a beard together. Jeffrey, Alfredo's father, has a moustache. We learned about the relationship between Alfredo's parents and his wife. Alfredo's dad, Jeffrey, is Alfredo's wife's father-in-law. Hey, what? Okay, let's look at that again. Alfredo's dad is Jeffrey. Alfredo's wife is Mary. Jeffrey is Mary's father-in-law. Do you remember the relationship in the opposite direction? That's right. Alfredo's wife, Mary, is Alfredo's dad, Jeffrey's daughter-in-law. What? Okay, let's look at that again. Alfredo's wife is Mary. Alfredo's dad is Jeffrey. Mary is Jeffrey's daughter-in-law. Great. So, once again, we know that Jeffrey is Mary's father-in-law and Mary is Jeffrey's daughter-in-law. Good. Now, what about Alfredo's mum? Well, Alfredo's mum, Holly, is Alfredo's wife's mother-in-law. Shall we look at that again? Okay, Alfredo's mum is Holly. Alfredo's wife is Mary. Holly is Mary's mother-in-law. And what about the relationship in the opposite direction? That's right. Alfredo's wife, Mary, is Alfredo's mum, Holly's daughter-in-law. Hey, what was that again? Okay, let's look at that again. Alfredo's wife is Mary. Alfredo's mum is Holly. Mary is Holly's daughter-in-law. Holly is Mary's mother-in-law. Great. Now, what other relationships did we learn this week? That's right. We learned about the relationship between Alfredo's parents and Alfredo and Mary's children. Do you remember? Good. So, we know that Alfredo and Mary have got 4 children. They've got 2 boys, 2 sons, Tim and John. And they've got 2 girls, 2 daughters, Elizabeth and Doreen. We know the relationship between the children and their parents. Alfredo and Mary are the parents of Tim, John, Elizabeth and Doreen. Tim is Alfredo's son. Alfredo is Tim's father or dad. John is Alfredo's son. Alfredo is John's father or dad. Elizabeth is Alfredo's daughter. Alfredo is Elizabeth's father or dad. Doreen is Alfredo's daughter. Alfredo is Doreen's father or dad. Tim is Mary's son. Mary is Tim's mother or mum. John is Mary's son. Mary is John's mother or mum. Elizabeth is Mary's daughter. Mary is Elizabeth's mother or mum. Doreen is Mary's daughter. Mary is Doreen's mother or mum. Now, what about Jeffrey and Holly? Well, Alfredo is Jeffrey's son. Jeffrey is Alfredo's dad. Alfredo is Holly's son. Holly is Alfredo's mother or mum. And what about the relationship between Alfredo and Mary's children and Alfredo's parents? Okay, Alfredo and Mary are the children's parents. Jeffrey and Holly are the children's grandparents. Tim is Jeffrey's grandson. Jeffrey is Tim's grandfather or granddad. John is Jeffrey's grandson. Jeffrey is John's grandfather or granddad. Elizabeth is Jeffrey's granddaughter. Jeffrey is Elizabeth's grandfather or granddad. Doreen is Jeffrey's granddaughter. Jeffrey is Doreen's grandfather or granddad. Tim is Holly's grandson. Holly is Tim's grandmother or granny. The informal version of grandmother is granny or grandma. We don't say grandmum, we say granny or grandma. John is Holly's grandson. Holly is John's grandmother or granny. Elizabeth is Holly's granddaughter. Holly is Elizabeth's grandmother or granny. Doreen is Holly's granddaughter. Holly is Doreen's grandmother or granny. Blimey, phew. Evel Knievel rides a motorbike. My God, that's a lot of information. Still, it's not too difficult. We've got 3 levels in the Benchfield family. At the top, we've got the grandparents. Then we have the parents, and then we have the children. The children's grandparents are their parents' parents. Now, we also learned about in-laws this week. First, we learned that Mary Benchfield has got a mother-in-law and a father-in-law. Her husband's family are not blood relations, but legal relations. So we say that they are her in-laws. Alfredo's mother is Mary's mother-in-law, and Alfredo's father is Mary's father-in-law. we looked at my family. My sister, Katie, has a husband. Katie's husband, Gary, is my... What? That's right. My sister's husband is my brother-in-law. I've got a wife. I've also got a sister. So what's the relationship between my wife and my sister? Correcto mundo. They're not sisters, they're sisters-in-law. My sister is my wife's sister-in-law, and my wife's is my sister's sister-in-law. Fantastic. So now we know that we have fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters and sons and daughters. We also know that we have fathers-in-law and mothers-in-law. We have sisters-in-law and brothers-in-law. And we have sons-in-law and daughters-in-law. Great! Also this week, we looked at prepositions. We revised the prepositions of times we learned with Terry the squirrel, at, on, and in. And we revised the prepositions of place we learned with Doreen's bedroom and her pets, in, on, under, and next to. Then we learned some new prepositions, didn't we? Yes, we did. It's true. We learned 7 new prepositions of place. Beside, between, in front of, behind, opposite, above, and below. These prepositions are easy to learn because we can learn some of them in pairs. Some of them we know. Beside is a synonym for next to, so that's really, really easy. Between is this. The green ball is between the 2 boxes. Simple. Now, what's next? In front of and behind. Simple. Look at this picture. Now, when we look at the picture on the left, the green ball is in front of the box. When we look at the picture on the right, the green ball is behind the box. And what do you notice? Well, in front of and behind are opposites. This makes it really easy. When we look at the picture on the left, we can say that the green ball is in front of the box, or we can say that the box is behind the green ball. When we look at the picture on the right, we can say that the green ball is behind the box, or the box is in front of the green ball. Simple. Okay, next. Now the next preposition of place is opposite. Well, this one's easy too. Look at this picture. These 2 cubes are opposite each other. Okay, now this drawing looks a little bit like beside or next to, doesn't it? Well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that beside and next to are closer to each other. Okay, what about the last 2, above and below? Okay, simple. This is above and below. So, the star on the left is above the line, and the star on the right is below the line. Now, below looks a lot like what? You're right, you're not wrong. Below looks a lot like under, doesn't it? Yes. Well, what's the difference between below and under? Well, if something is covered, we normally use under. The cat is under the bed. The bed is covering the cat. I've got a shirt on under my jacket. The jacket is covering my shirt. Policemen wear bulletproof vests under their uniforms. The uniforms cover the bulletproof vests. If we're talking about temperature, we always use below. It's 3 degrees below 0, for example. We also learned about prepositions we use when we're talking about position on a piece of paper. Do you remember the picture? We also use at the front and at the back. Alfredo's at the back of the bus, and Dave Squid's at the front of the bus. Oh, elephant's toenails! We've run out of time. Okay, that's all we have time for today. You have been watching M5's new English language learning program, Let's Speak English, with me, Gav Duncan. Okay, I had fun today. I hope you had fun too. I'm Gav Duncan. I'm not Jimmy Page, and I'm not Phil Lynott. I'm Gav Duncan, and I'll see you next lesson for some more English language fun. See you later. Bye.